Now, who is standing by to speak to us about this conference. Hello, Sophie.
Good afternoon.
Well, tell us about this initiative, and as we have said, it's modeled around the World Economic Forum. How is it going to work?
Well, what we were told earlier on during the start of the meeting was that the intention is to ensure that African leaders, including business, civil society, and ordinary citizens of this continent, are able to engage and discuss in terms of how can this continent develop. Of course, the economy is an important sector that needs to be taken care of. It is for that reason they've made a proposal that the regional integration at different regions is quite important, where countries are working together. From there, you can be able to integrate the entire continent. It is going to be a platform where ideas can be thrown around and can be debated in terms of how we can revive the economy of the continent. You are aware that as the continent, we have lots and lots of mineral resources that are being processed not on the continent, but rather outside the continent. And they believe that if processing can happen on the continent, we will be able to create jobs, and particularly the young people currently who are so restless and are looking for the jobs, they are the ones that can benefit. Therefore, beneficiation will be key. The other issue is to ensure that commodities or goods and services move freely on the continent. But President Robert Mugabe, the Zimbabwean president, lamented the fact that some other countries are not prepared to open their markets. He made an example of South Africa in particular, saying that they are receiving lots and lots of goods from South Africa, but they are not able to sell their goods in South Africa. Therefore, him saying that even SADC currently is battling to ensure that there is this regional integration, but also free movements of people also will be critical. It is for that reason the AU has established an African Union passport that will enable African citizens to move freely on the continent, even though they will continue to ensure that there is security.
Now, Sophie, does this mean it's a breakaway altogether from the World Trade Organization, or does this mean that the existence of these trade relations will exist in parallel? Say, for example, many countries have bilateral relations with European countries. Well, what's going to happen going forward?
Well, they'll continue with the bilaterals, but they are trying to discourage this issue. Because the problem is when you engage in bilateral talks, you are able to give in, in terms of the demands from other bigger countries. It is for that reason they believe that when you negotiate as a collective, as a region, you are able to put forward the interests of the people of this continent in a forefront. Therefore, if you negotiate as a country, for example, South Africa negotiating with Britain or with America at the bilateral level, you give in terms of the demands of the big boys or in the world. Therefore, it's better to negotiate as a collective. But they will continue with WTO, the multilateral fora will continue to be a place where they negotiate, but they are encouraging countries to negotiate as a bloc, either as regions or as a continent, to ensure that the continent in particular stands to benefit. You are aware that people are talking about Africa having 1 billion people. Therefore, it's a huge buying power. You cannot just give it away. But if you work as a collective, you can use this muscle to ensure that the continent benefits from these trade relations.
Which now brings me to the question of tariffs. I mean, we know that it is quite expensive to import goods from other countries. Now, how is it going to work? Did the forum mention anything to do with the cross-boundary tariffs that can be imposed when there are trade relations and the trade activities taking place?
I think this platform, it's meant to ensure that they come up with solutions on such issues. How are you going to ensure that the tariffs that you impose on each other or in the region in particular, it's not affecting trade relations. I think these are the issues that they will be able to grapple with, and it is for that reason it is important to have an African economic platform where these issues can be ironed out. And you can also find a way to make changes when necessary, particularly when you look at legislations. They are quite vast and different country to country in terms of trade. Therefore, it is important to come together to talk about this thing and ensure that when you go forward, you are able to benefit as a country or the region or the entire continent. But working together, they believe they can do more and get more, particularly at a time where countries such as America, you are aware that President Trump has come up with a new phrase in terms of trade relations. He's talking about America first, prioritizing businesses in America. Therefore, sending goods to America is going to be a problem in future. It is going to affect the trade relations in countries where you have better trade relations with America. You look at the European Union, we are seeing a situation where there are changes. Britain, the Brexit, it is going to have an impact on countries, and therefore they are saying that much as Britain has taken a decision to interact with individual countries at individual level or bilateral level on trade, it's better to find a way as a region or a continent to ensure that you push to ensure that all the citizens of the continent do benefit from such relations or agreements.
We're speaking to Sophie Mokoena, live from Port Louis in Mauritius.